We are continuously looking and growing and evolving. And it's like you cannot walk into the same river twice, right? The current will take away the water.
Yeah,
Hence, the
that's really good.
change is the
I like
only
that.
thing that's constant. This moment is only right now. And if you're fearful of whatever might be in the future, 99.9%, it's never going to happen. And if you're so worried and guilty and whatever about the past and let the past drive your future, then you're never going to get to the future that you actually want.
Mm-hmm.
So the moment is actually here.
So when you see someone who's 45 years old and they look the same, dress the same, act the same as they did when they were 35, like literally a decade goes off the clock, or they're 25 to 35 or 35, whatever the decade is, right? And you kind of like, you haven't seen them in a long time. You know who I'm talking about. It's like that friend you ran into that you knew from college, and they're like doing the same stuff. And it kind of feels like, man, like they're not challenging themselves, or they're just either comfortable or very fearful. There's a lot of things that can kind of hinder us from our true growth. But I love the way you worded it, articulated it really well. How do people find what's going to make them fulfilled? Because I don't know if I have the answer to that.
If our core is not in it, the essence of who we are, why we're doing in the first place, while you achieve the goal, it's not going to make you feel fulfilled or happy or successful or whatever. Hence, big cars and houses and the dogs and all whatever positions.
Yeah.
And we always go towards the core and the essence, right? Why is that important for you? Which feelings are you actually after? You want to have that beautiful relationship and that harmony and a great sex life and XYZ. What kind of person do you want to have it with? What kind of person do you actually need to be in order to have that?
Hey guys, our guest today is the founder of Life by Design Academy, as well as Frontline Consulting. She serves on the board for EO Entrepreneurs Organization and is an advocate for lifelong learning, growth, development, and challenging the status quo. She embraces change, expands borders, and eliminates boundaries, literally, as she's lived in 24 different locations, including 6 different countries. She's here to help you live to your fullest potential. Welcome to the show, a true global citizen, all the way from Barcelona. And today she's in Berlin. I just can't even keep up with her. She's all over the world. Natalya Berdikyan.
Hey, thank you. What a beautiful welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Happy to be here.
Can we get you to sit still for like 45 minutes, you think? I know you're
Yeah.
I'm just trying. I called her before the meeting. Are we good to go? I know you're like, she's got so many things going on. So I just want to say it's a complete honor and privilege to have you on the show. And thank you for being here.
Privilege is all mine. Thank you for inviting me.
Guys, you can check out her website. It's lifebydesign-academy.com. And she's on Instagram. Very simple. It's at her name. So it's Natalya, Natalya, and her last name is Berdikyan. Other social media can be found in the show notes. And a quick shout out to our mutual friend, Dave Mamano, for actually sending over a recommendation. He said, Mike, what are you doing? You got to get Natalya on the show. And I said, give me your information. We'll make it happen. And it's been a couple quick weeks since that conversation. So I'm excited to get into your story. I'm telling our audience right now, you guys listening or watching right now, get your tablets ready, get your notepads ready, because Natalya is about to drop some gold. So we're going to dive into her backstory to kind of give you guys the world of scene of what she's all about, and then some questions that I feel can help our audience out with, like we said in the top of the show, living out to their fullest potential. That's kind of the key theme of what our show is going to be about. So just to tell your story a little bit. You're originally from Moscow. You've lived in 6 different countries. Each time it was your personal decision to move. I want to highlight that. And there's actually a quote on your website that I love, and it's perfectly you. It says, the world is full of opportunities. You're like the poster child of opportunities, right? Especially just creating them. Tell us how you managed to do that so many times.
Where do I begin? So I was living in Russia, post-Soviet Union, Moscow, and I won this exchange program to go to US, to California, out of all places. which was beautiful experience. Lived in 4 families in 1 year, 2 high schools. So speaking of change and that nothing is constant, ever since, the world has been my oyster. So you said world global citizen. I don't like to sit still, and yeah.
Well, you're a change maker. That's the deal about it. Like if you're sitting still, even if you are in the same location, I know you're doing a lot within that location. And then I don't know if it's like you're like shedding your skin and moving on to another location. But I don't want to jump past it. You mentioned you went to California. I know you were a college student, right? Was it a freshman?
Yeah, I
Freshman
was
year?
high school. I was a
High
senior
school.
year.
Guys, listen to this real quick. In high school, she goes all the way across the globe. She lives with 4 families in 1 year. Can you guys imagine that, just being a U.S. citizen and going to another state and living with 4 different families? Plus, there's the language barrier. She's learning from who, I'm going to say in quotes, her sister, who is a 5-year-old girl in the family that she's living with, who really taught her English and kind of taught her some cultural things. And then it's the first time you also had a father figure in your life, really, that was kind of helping you with some development. Can you share more about that story when you were with that family?
Certainly. The family was amazing. So there were 2 kids at the time. There are 4 now. And she did come to visit me when she was 10, all the way from California back to Moscow all alone. So that's amazing. It's a beautiful connection we have. And the father figure, yeah. So I was raised by a single mother, and well, not to say there wasn't any father. He was there. He just wasn't a figure in my life,
Right.
unfortunately. So it was really beautiful to have an opportunity to live in a complete family and see the dynamics and have someone so loving and caring and attentive as he was to his daughter. Same thing towards me, and it was a beautiful experience. So we're very much connected. I went to visit them a few years ago, 17 years after. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Such a bond.
It's incredible, and it's awesome because you never knew. Like when you came here to the States, you didn't know what the experience was going to be like, and you learned so much in 1 year. 4 different families, which is kind of like almost 4 different cultures, like mini cultures within a bigger culture, right? And you're in another country from what you grew up and what you're comfortable with. So forget about comfort. You were just learning and growing like at rapid fire. Right, but then you shared something with me off camera before when we first met. You said that 1 year really set up your next 10. Can you talk about how that experience really kind of launched you into what came next?
Certainly. So I came back to Moscow being 17 years old, right? And you just kind of get immersed into this complete different culture.
hmm
And I never thought I speak anything but Russian when I was in Moscow previously. And well, now I speak 4 languages. Not to say they're perfect, but at least I
Yeah.
can get around. And every time people were asking, when they were hiring or when I had the whole thing with the jobs and careers and development stuff, what was the biggest achievement? And I think for 10 years, I kept saying when I went to US, because the fact that being 16, I have left my family, went into complete unknown, completely transformed myself within 1 year. That was for me the most remarkable achievement I had, because I realized coming back that a lot of people have never left their country or their city or their village or the island for that matter, because I also lived on the island at some point. And they really see the world very much as sort of what they know and what is known to them, what is being taught to them by their family, by the society, etc., or whatever you see on TV. Again, this was post-Soviet Union, if you guys have seen the movies. Not the best times back in the 90s. So
Right.
for me, there was a really big transformation. And
Was it a
like I
little bit
said,
of an escape, would you say, from kind of some turmoil, or was that
that's a
just
that's a
coincidence?
good question. Well, back in the days, US actually was investing in the relationships between US and Russia. Well,
Right.
however they could invest and improve the relationships back then.
Yeah.
And so that was pretty much sponsored by the American government. For me personally, what drove me then and what drives me ever since is the curiosity for, you might say, unknown as well, for something different, something new. I somehow strive for change and for questioning that status quo. I always believe there's something more out there. And it also links to our potential, to whatever we see and don't see. Hence, I got into this quantum physics and energy work recently, which I absolutely love. It answers a lot of questions. So curiosity.
I feel like you actually peeked at my notes. It's funny, when we started the call, she said, Mike, I didn't see the notes. Did you send them to me? I go, no, I like to keep it like almost feeling live. I prepare for the interview, but I don't like to show the questions, so my guests are actually answering in the moment and not calculated. And it's funny that you start talking about change, because my next question is exactly about that. It's another quote right from your website. It was like a 3-part quote. And the third part of it, or the second part of it rather, is change is the only constant. And when you really think about that statement, it's pretty heavy, because it's so true and it's so contrasting. And many people do fear change, right? They may be in a place of complacency, or they may actually be feeling that their current life situation's pretty good. So they're like, hey, if it's good, don't, like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But why is it so important that we are in constant change? What does that mean to you? Like, I feel like it's a beautiful thing to my understanding, but I want to kind of hear it in your own words.
Thank you for asking. It's we are not the same we were yesterday. We're not the same we were 10 years ago, 20 years ago. A lot of people get into marriages, get divorced, have a career path, change it. Well, locations, I'm not even starting about that, because, 24, plenty of that. Yeah. But we are different. We are evolving, and hopefully we are always improving. And that's not a must. But as we say, we either grow or we die. It's nature. I mean, look at the tree, right? So it's all about continuous improvement. We can be the best versions of ourselves, whatever that means. But that means that we're continuously looking and growing and evolving. And it's like you cannot walk into the same river twice, right? The current will take away the water. Yeah, hence, the change is the only thing that's constant. This moment is only right now. And if you're fearful of whatever might be in the future, 99.9%, it's never going to happen. And if you're so worried and guilty and whatever about the past, and let the past drive your future, then you're never going to get to the future that you actually want. So the moment is actually here.
So when you see someone who's 45 years old and they look the same, dress the same, act the same as they did when they were 35, like literally a decade goes off the clock, or they're 25 to 35 or 35, whatever the decade is, right? And you kind of like, you haven't seen them in a long time. You know who I'm talking about. It's like that friend you ran into that you knew from college, and they're like doing the same stuff. And it kind of feels like, man, like they're not challenging themselves, or they're just either comfortable or very fearful. There's a lot of things that can kind of hinder us from our true growth. But I love the way you worded it, articulated it really well. Absolutely. It's like we got to constantly be looking to be the best version of ourselves. And there's so much knowledge in the world. There's so much for us to go out and do, whether that's with our families, whether that's personal or with business, whatever it might be. So if you're not really like learning, growing, and changing, you're going to end up doing the same stuff over and over. And we have limited time on the planet. We all know that. So why would you want to kind of relive the same round trip around the sun over and over if you can actually do different things? I think that's wonderful. What we're going to do is take a quick sponsorship timeout. We're going to be right back after this, and just give us a minute. We'll be right back with Natalya. Podcasting is a great way to engage with your audience and stay consistently relevant. The only problem is you don't have the time or desire to produce your own show. You simply want it done for you, and that's where Social Chameleon comes in. All you need to do is press record and upload the files. We'll handle the rest. From planning, production, post-production, distribution, and digital marketing, we have you covered. We realize that times are tough and funds are tight, and Social Chameleon believes in building supportive business relationships. By clicking on the link in this promo, we'll provide you 7 free podcasting tips to get started, as well as a free 30-minute online consultation. This is the perfect opportunity for entrepreneurs, keynote speakers, industry experts, influencers, and anybody who has a personal brand. With Social Chameleon, we help you build a brand that is out of this world. We're ready and waiting, so what are you waiting for? Click on the link to get started today. All right, we're back in action with Natalya, and I'd like to say again, complete honor and privilege having her all the way from Berlin today. She's actually in Barcelona. That's where she currently lives. From Russia, as you heard in the top of the show, she's bounced around 6 different countries, 24 different times, and she's spending the next half hour with us to share more about how we can maximize our potential. And I know that's kind of like an Instagram, quote graphic or something, but there's so much more to it. It's not just words on a page. Natalya lives it. She breathes it. She actually has a business, Life by Design Academy, that helps people do this. She holds people accountable. And what I love about when I tuned into her website, I saw it's not just helping you grow your business, it's actually sustaining success. Can you talk more about that?
Well, what is sustaining success for you?
Well, it's like we just talked about, change and grow. Like you want to see that you're climbing the ladder. And then if things are going really well, you want to replicate success, in my opinion. So whether that's numbers on the page of like Q1 versus Q2, or if it's personal growth, like basically if you have your vision board to me and you're tackling these things, I would say that, continue to do what you're doing as well as continue to grow. And you want to sustain that. That's kind of how I picture it in my head.
Well, you said it perfectly. At the end of the day, it's all about how that makes you feel and what is success to you and what makes you feel happy, fulfilled, and successful. And sustaining
There's
it.
the big F word, fulfilled.
Fulfilled, yeah, because we keep forgetting it. We are KPIs, targets, goals, what have you, achievement, the words like ambitious and perseverance and all that stuff, it's all in there. What about what it makes you feel and how sustainable is that feeling? Because the whole thing is, if we gonna tick all the boxes and all the KPIs and stuff, the same for our team members or our family members, if by getting to it, by getting to the goal, you don't feel what you're actually after. And generally people are after, feeling fulfilled, happy, right, successful, whatever success is for them. If they're not feeling it, that it's not really coming from their core energy, from their core being of who they are actually being while trying to do all that stuff that they're trying to achieve.
Yeah, so it's like when someone gets, I just had a friend of mine post, I forget what vehicle it was like a really nice high-end Audi, and he said he wanted the car so bad, he bought it like 3 years ago. Then when he had the car, he said, yeah, it was a head turner. Yeah, I enjoyed getting in it. Material things are great to purchase, whatever. He's not saying they're bad, but he said he didn't feel the fulfillment he thought he would in that purchase. Right. So you could change that car out, and it could be a relationship. It could be marriage. Sometimes people get into a marriage, they think that's going to solve everything because now they have a partner to share life with. But if they don't have these personal fulfillments, it can actually be a really big problem, right? I've experienced some of that myself.
With a lot of people been there. I've been there myself. I have a great relationship with my ex-husband and his family, which it's a sustainable, successful relationship. And that what's important is to create that, you need to know what you're after. And what I'm after are those feelings of happiness, fulfillment, stability, peace. Or stability maybe is not the right word. That harmony and balance piece that you are making
in concert, I think is what you're trying to say. Like
exactly,
kind of
exactly.
Aligned. But here's the deal, like about fulfillment. I know personally, I can tell you, my best year in business actually was before I was an entrepreneur. I was a store manager and a sales leader within an organization, and I was really crushing goals and like on top of the world from that standpoint. I was making good money. I was married at the time. Kind of looked like everything was going right, but I was super unfulfilled and ended up going through a divorce at the same time. So what seemed like if I was an athlete, I had a Pro Bowl season, but why is the player not happy? Or the musician, I'm actually a musician, I play the drums, spent a minute, but I kind of like when I read about people who are playing in front of 100,000 people and they just won a Grammy, yet they still could be depressed. Like it's hard for a lot of people to fathom that, but there's something in their life that's unfulfilled. Do you feel you can kind of articulate how do people find what's going to make them fulfilled? Because I don't know if I have the answer to that.
What we do, and that's what we use energy leadership coaching for, is we get to the core of people's thoughts, emotions, and actions or inactions. As we say, we can build all these goals and all great objectives, but if our core is not in it, the essence of who we are, why we're doing in the first place, while you achieve the goal, it's not going to make you feel fulfilled or happy or successful or whatever. Hence, big cars and houses and the dogs and all whatever positions.
Yeah.
And we always go towards the core and the essence, right? Why is that important for you? Which feelings are you actually after? You want to have that beautiful relationship and that harmony and a great sex life and XYZ. What kind of person do you want to have it with? What kind of person do you actually need to be in order to have that? And do you give yourself the time frame of 10 years or 1 year? Because maybe you can actually feel all these things tomorrow. You don't have to look right and left to feel what you really want to feel. You want to feel fulfilled and successful. What's stopping you? What is actually on the way? And maybe if you look within, you already have a lot of elements of that.
So someone could actually have the things that may, quote unquote, check that fulfillment box or just literally feel it. It's like gratitude. You have to experience it. You don't just say, I'm happy that today there's a blue sky and then I have this amount of money in my bank account. If you don't really feel it, it's not powerful. It's not really experiencing it. It's the same thing with fulfillment, right? Like you could have something you say you're after that would, if I only had this, then I would be fulfilled. But if you have it and you're not really kind of reflecting in gratitude, you can almost go past it and you actually had the thing. You were attaining what you were after, but you just weren't even being present in the moment. Am I on with
Certainly,
that?
Yeah. And presence in the moment is very important. That's hence the mindfulness and meditations and all that stuff. On the gratitude piece, I do highly recommend to have whether you do it consistently, a routine thing to put your gratitudes in the morning and in the evening, or make a list of whatever that is you're grateful for. But what you mentioned is if you're not feeling it and it's just checking the boxes, it's not it. And what you mentioned about being present in the moment, like I said earlier as well, we only have this moment. And if you're not fearful of the future or feeling guilty about the past, your full potential is actually present here. The thing that you can tap into, the resources, the capabilities, the ability to make solid, great decisions, the ability to connect to your true intuition without having to ask everybody. It's only present in the moment.
So is there a fine line then? Because you want to focus on planning for the future, having a game plan, the art of visualization, like just feeling the day before it happens, like experiencing it in your head. I know like Michael Phelps, I learned, used to, on the day of a big event, he used to literally think everything from where a cereal bowl sat on the table to how he would walk down the lane before, everything, his car commute to the arena. He used to map it out in his head before it happened. So then when it happened, he already pictured himself getting the gold medal. So how much of that is like a fine line because you want to be present in the moment but still visualize where you want to go, right? So it's tough.
Right.
I mean, it's not easy. What we're talking about is not something you just go, hey, you read a book in it, Natalya, and now you're an expert. Like it's really working on it daily, right?
Gotta walk the talk for sure. But a lot of people say, well, fake it if you make it till you make it. Well, that's not it. It's act as if. And hence the visualizations, because
I like that.
You set that goal, you visualize yourself, and you also understand who you need to be as a person in order to get that. Hence, the healthy routine exercises, the ticking the KPIs, etc., etc. It's not to make your day harder than it is, but it's to connect you closer to who you need to be in order to get that.
Oh, I like that. It's a measurement tool. Yeah.
Yeah, act as if you are already winning this Olympics or running that business, because what do you actually need to win those Olympics and run that business?
Yeah, like it's you take two people, you send them on a journey, and you tell them to just run through town. One has a roadmap, the other doesn't, and they have 10 things they need to find. And one person knows like a stop sign, find a blue house, right? Go down the street and make a right at the first. And this person knows what they're looking for without the map. Who's going to get there first, right? Basically, this is just visualizing what you're looking for and then being able to go and get it. It's your likelihood is higher. We're not saying that just because you visualize it, it's guaranteed, but your likelihood of hitting the mark is
Right.
obviously so much more if you actually have the mark, right?
And you are doing the work. It's not like it's miraculously going to appear.
Right.
So it's the miracle part is that your energy is connected to it, and that's where the whole thing about the purpose and the passion is important, to be connected to the purpose and to be doing what you're passionate about, because that's where you have that inner energy that takes you there.
I think
Not
you're
by
tapping
miracle.
into my energy here somehow, because the next question I have for you is about energy. I'm not making this up. It's on the page. You said, and again, the third part of your quote was energy attracts like energy. So important, right? You vibrate. Everybody vibrates. This microphone, my drink, this sheet of paper, everything's energy and is a vibration. So when we're around people vibrate at a high level, right? So how important is it to have people that are energized at the same levels that you are, both in relationships, so it could be with a spouse or a boyfriend, girlfriend, or it could be a business partner or people at your mastermind group table. How important is energy in that regard?
Well, energy is everything. I mean, energy flows where attention goes, right? And you mentioned that a person walks in the room and you do feel the energy, and it's physics. It's not some voodoo science. And I love talking about it. And it's, there are two types of energy. As people say, negative and positive. We say it from the physical standpoint, catabolic, which is draining and disruptive, and anabolic, which is constructive and healing. And so too much of the catabolic one simply destroys and drains people. It also creates the chemicals, again, physics, that drain us. And that's why people can't get out of bed, or not entirely engaged, or feel like they're, hopeless, and they don't have the confidence, or they get into aggressive behavior and stuff.
Right.
And the other side is what lifts us up. And it's all about, if you connect it to the thoughts and emotions, hence, if your thoughts are in your beautiful future with your beautiful vision, and you connect the thoughts into how it's gonna make you feel, and what do you need to do in order to get there, or what are you doing right now and how it makes you feel, then it's a journey towards your beautiful dream and your beautiful future, from the positive standpoint, from the constructive building standpoint, rather than
right. So do you feel that this ties right into law of attraction? Do you believe in that? And is this part of that then? Because law of attraction is very much based on energy.
Well,
and again,
it's a
living
lot.
it.
Yeah, it's a lot to do with everything is energy. So if you resonate at the higher energy level, you attract the same. And what we say, we attract who we are, not what we want.
Ooh,
Hence,
that's a huge quote.
Back to that thing about the visualization and the dreams and stuff, and fake it till you make it versus acting as if.
Yeah.
We attract who we are, not what we want. So if you want what you want, then become the person you need to become.
Wow.
So when you mention your question about people that are at different level, thing is that we fluctuate all the time. There's no good or bad energy. Everything serves a purpose. If you don't have your negative emotions and negative thoughts, you would never really think what is important and how you would rather prefer to feel. Without the sun, without the rain, we don't appreciate the sun, etc. So, and we tend to fluctuate, same as the people. Now the question is, are you doing it? Are you being at cause, so you choose, or you being at effect and you're becoming a victim, sort of whatever is happening?
Like waiting for something to happen, so then you could feel happiness, right?
Exactly, and that's the whole thing I wanted to mention as well. Being happy, if being fulfilled or successful if, when. Forget that.
Wow. I have this written down. This is like probably this is my favorite quote on Mic'd Up. I have 79 episodes out, and this is no disrespect to any of my guests, but attract who we are, not what we want. What that means to me is like, when I'm resonating at the best version of myself, other people are going to want to hang out with me. If I'm just sitting here like, oh, I want this, beautiful girlfriend, and I want the car and the this and the that, but I'm not resonating anything close to the person that would have any of this stuff or deserve it, really, then how can I expect it? That's so good.
Exactly. And the whole thing about expectations, if we can practice detached involvement, so we care, and that's what we want, certainly, but we're not attached to the outcome. Hear what I'm saying? I mean, you can say, well, how can that be? I do want to win that marathon, and I do want to get that girlfriend, right?
Sure.
Or, grow the business to sell the business.
Whatever it is, yeah.
If we're so fixated on that X point, that takes away actually from that continuous improvement on the way and being open to whatever can come that way. Because if we only fixated on that and we only go there, what if other great stuff comes on the way that makes us greater versions of ourselves and connects to other resources and stuff? So good.
It's like if you're too laser focused, then you can miss other greatness happening around you too. So it's important to be laser focused at times, but if you're too much with just a telescope and living life in this telescope of where you want to be, then, man, you're going to miss the experiences all around you, which I think is so much good insight. Guys, I told you at the top of the show, get your tablets and notepads out because Natalya is going to bring it, and she is. I want to talk also, another personal thing that's super important is ego, how it can both serve and hinder us. I know you're an expert on talking about ego. How does it let's talk about both, like how it can hinder us and how it can serve us.
I would love to revert the question.
Go ahead.
From your experience, when did that ego hinder you or hurt you? Yours or someone else's?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just talk for myself. Like overconfidence sometimes in kind of a cocky way, or stubbornness. I'm Italian. Now, I think part of that's just in the bloodline, but I'll take my own responsibility. I've been stubborn at times where I didn't want to change something because I felt right, and I was just going to stick with it. But I've changed very much so from that. I'm not so much like that anymore, thankfully, and grateful that I've realized a lot of this stuff. But I know in the past there's times when I just was overly stubborn, and that's like a strong ego, right? So that didn't serve me or the people in my life, right?
Right. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So what we say about ego and how, let's say, the energy leadership model by IBAC is mentioning ego, and we all have different definitions of it. You can have a big ego and thinking that you're constantly right and you have the truth. Well, I can break it down to the fact is that what is the reality? How much do we really know what is the truth? Because if we base our understanding of the truth or myself being right or someone else is being right or wrong, that is based possibly on whatever experience I had previously, whatever education I had previously, whatever view I might have at what is really happening. And the reality is, one can say, is the facts without emotions. So how much truth is actually in what we think is the reality? And if we keep on judging based on our previous experience or however the society trained us, the family, our education, etc., it is a very fragmented view and it's a very limiting view and understanding. We're making assumptions and all sorts of stuff, interpretations, and those are the limiting blocks actually. And so if we have a broader view, the ego does not exist there. So if we don't judge for right and wrong, good or bad or whatever, whether it's ourselves or others, there is less to no ego.
So would you say if you come at things like in a place of understanding first, trying to understand why someone feels or thinks the way they do, opposed to trying to tell them or understand if they're right or wrong. Am I on?
Yeah, if you
Okay.
take away the judgment, we always judge because we think based on our experience, this is how it is. I know better because X, Y, Z. Okay. Now, the piece of awareness, which is a fundamental thing to the ego, how much are we aware of whatever is actually happening? Whatever the reality is, that facts without the emotions, because our opinion is the emotion part to it, or the experience, and it might be the wrong and limiting experience.
How does one get a good feel for that? Like, that's perception, right? Isn't there a quote, perception is reality? Like with other people, if there's 10 people in a room and you walk out, you leave and you're like, man, I just had a great experience. I was very like the life of the party, but maybe you really weren't. The other 9 people were like, Mike seemed kind of off today. He wasn't really his happy-go-lucky self, but you feel like everything was fine. So really, like the reality was that you weren't okay because that's what 9 other people experienced, but inside you kind of thought everything was cool. Is that kind of how do you gate? What's the word I'm looking for? Like, how does someone have a good gauge on their own reality? That's a huge problem for people, right?
Awareness is
awareness
of self, our emotions, our capabilities, however we are perceiving stuff. And you said perception. You show something in front of 10 people, or you give them to taste something. Everybody has a different experience. It's their own perception based on their past. So, and that's what happens. Our past is dictating our present and is affecting our future.
That's a big
Hence
problem,
the whole thing about being more open. Hence the thing about not having the ego come with us. And as we say in the Entrepreneurs Organization, leave the ego at the door, come with an open mind, be empathetic, listen, and all that stuff, and try to see reality for what it is without your judgment and emotion attached to it. Because if it is, then it's your own reality and it's just a fragment of possible truth.
Yeah. Wow. You know why I love doing this show is interviewing people like yourself, where I literally go back and I'll listen to this again. It's not going to be tomorrow. It's going to be weeks from now. And I'll relearn this. So like, oh my God, I remember. I'll get away from it a little bit. It'll slide away. Just like when someone's learning a workout and they do it, and then they might, 10 weeks later, they're not doing it exactly the same way because they kind of haven't seen the tutorial on it in a while. Like this is the tutorial for me on to get reconnected. So we talked about fulfillment. We talked about awareness. 2 huge things I focus a lot of time and energy on. The third one, it's not really third, but there's so many different things for us to focus on, but a big one is the word purpose. I know I'm energized by my purpose. I know you're purpose-driven and lit up every day for what you're doing. Can you share with us? Someone's listening right now and they're like, I don't know what my purpose is. Maybe they want to start a new business or they're stuck feeling like they're grinding the same day over and over. How does someone kind of get, again, reconnected with their purpose?
I think they can benefit from reconnecting with themselves.
How do you do that? Just spend a lot of time in quiet time alone, or?
Well, it doesn't have to be alone. It's about reconnecting with themselves and who they really are. That who before the why and the what and the how piece of Simon Sinek. Not adding to it, but we can add an extra circle in the middle. So the who, and that comes with awareness. The awareness of who we really are, what drives us, what gives us energy, what drains our energy, and connecting to that intuition piece. Well, with verifying with the logical mind and whatever else that we keep on questioning to make sure it's the real thing.
Yeah. Would you say it's like, I always think about being like the own protagonist in your own story. So if you looked at your life, I mean, I'm 35, so I still consider myself in like some of the earlier chapters, but look, not every day is given or granted or or whatever. So I am blessed to be here, and but I look at it like, okay, if I'm blessed to have a lot of blank pages ahead of me, I want to write the story of the protagonist that I really would love to be, who I want to become, the influence, like making people inspired. That's why I'm doing this show, to inspire people to be brave and bold in pursuit of their dreams, get more people not just dreaming but taking action. But I started to identify this, like, hey, this is really what I want to achieve, and just like continue to work towards that person. So someone who's listening right now, you'd say, like, picture yourself as the protagonist in a story, and whatever you want, that best character at the end, like the reflection moment of, wow, look at this amazing story, you can go and do that, right?
Meet your
We have the power.
70-year-old self. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
We
amazing.
do, and that's why I love doing what I do, is that to give people opportunities and possibilities and that inner freedom and choice to build the life they want, how they want it, and not live someone else's dreams or follow someone else's opinions and judgments, and that's the career you need to have, and that's the business, and that's how you need to run your life, and that's how you need to run your business. No, we have to, and we have the capabilities and capacity to do that within ourselves, and then the resources around us to build the life the way we want to see it, and not someone else's, whether it's your parents or the society or your friends or whatever.
Yeah, it's a good. The magic happens when the fight within someone is lit. Like, the person has the drive, right? So they don't need to be told, like, you got to get out of bed and go take action every day. And mentorship and coaching, like, a great coach and great mentor working with someone who's dejected and not really putting in the time and energy is not going to get a great performance out of this person. Even though they're a great coach, like, they'll get a better performance out of them. But it's going to come down to who wants it the most. Someone who's, like, on purpose, plus you add in great mentorship and coaching, and then that person's reflecting, finds fulfillment, they're living in gratitude, everything we just talked about, they're on purpose. Like, now we're talking, now we're moving, now the train is, like, just going at a rapid speed, right? So I know you didn't wake up one day, Natalya, and, like, have all this stuff figured out. So you've been getting coached and have mentors, and you read and watch videos yourself, and you do trainings, and you're hanging around with the right people. I get it. But who would you say, if you can go back in time right now, from today all the way back, who's really been your number one influence? It could be family. It could be someone you never met. Who would you say is like, wow, you know what, this is really, I have the most to thank to this person or being, or who would that be?
Yeah, I definitely can't say one.
Yeah.
I would say, first of all, my grandfather, because he was the first father figure to me, and he did everything possible to sort of replace the role of his son. And it worked as much as possible. And I remember, because him and my grandma kept on telling me a lot of stuff, the time that I spent with them, which was almost every weekend in the summer. If out of 1,000 words, a couple of words will stay in your head, that was already a success. And I could tell you, this was 30 years ago. And I still remember that. And I can tell you, I have kept a lot of the words in my head, and I've learned a lot from them. Then I would say, well, my father, my native father, one way or another, whether it was a positive or a negative experience, that definitely made me who I am. And the lack of his presence and aspired presence made me who I am. So I am grateful for that. I think it's the first time I've actually said it.
Yeah, that's because you're thinking about it the right way. I just want to add real quick, like, that situation, whether he wasn't as present as you'd like to be and everything else, it happened, right? That happened. He was going to be who he was, like, it wasn't changing, right? But you changed how you looked at it, which gave you the power to actually learn and feel something positive from it, which I want our audience to not overlook, because, like, you could have easily been like, he was a jerk, he just wasn't there, it's terrible, I don't even want to think about it. You're like, you know what? I learned some good things just from the reality of that situation. I think that shows how it's a gift, but it shows how mature your energy state is, really, to connect.
I can tell you, it took me time to get there. Definitely. So I'm happy to be able to say that. Everything is an experience. This is the whole thing, is the higher you resonate on the energy scale, and that's what I'm trying to do every day. It's a work in progress. The higher you are, the more connected you are, the less judgment you have, the more you are not only connected with yourself, but also other people. And that thing is, everybody has an experience and they do the best they can in the moment. And it is a given. We're not set to fail in the moment we're trying to do something. Hence, feeling guilty and bad about it doesn't really help. And that continuous improvement, that's part of that evolution. I mean, that's nature. So yeah, we learn.
Absolutely. So now I want you to reach out to anyone listening right now, and thank you guys for sticking with us on this awesome conversation with Natalya. But take this opportunity to speak to our audience directly, those who are going through major adversity right now. Maybe it's health related. It could be an issue at work or at home, relationally. Their hope is at an all-time low. They're about to give up. What would you tell them right now?
I would say that the world is full of opportunities. It's full of beautiful people and energy out there that can support your journey, and that you're not alone. And if you can reach out, I'm here to support you, which I'm sure Mike is as well.
Yeah.
And the world is beautiful, and what doesn't kill us makes us stronger, but it might also be a limiting belief. It doesn't have to be difficult. And life is not a struggle. It's all a matter of perception, a matter of glasses that you put on. So if you have the pink glasses or the higher level resonating glasses, you see the world less of a resistance and pain. And it is beautiful. Their solutions are out there for you.
That was beautifully said. I would also tell them, go back and listen to this interview from the top again, because like everything we talked about are ways to really get connected. And if you're in that funk and you literally feel like it's empty, I would go back and say, like, almost listen to it in reverse, in a way of like, go back to purpose. We talked about purpose will drive you to fulfillment, right? So everything that you're delivering today, I would say, is super key in someone getting out of that moment. And I do want to say as well, I never said this like directly on the show, but if someone is in that moment, please reach out to us. Myself directly, I can connect you with Natalya. She just said she's willing to help out. So absolutely, if you need some help, that's what we're here for. That's why we're doing the show. Now, I know you can wake up every day and choose what you want to do, Natalya, right? Like, you can pick the different businesses. You've been involved with many different things, cosmetics at one point, correct? You can pick anything you want to do. Why do you pick business consulting? I'm wondering.
Well, it's not just business consulting.
Okay.
It's,
or the different things you're doing.
Yeah, sure. It's I must tell you, and I was in various businesses, various industries. I running businesses, selling, business development, and all sorts of things. And I must say, whatever I do right now is the most fulfilling thing I have done in 30 years. And my first entrepreneurship experience was when I was 10, selling fruits and vegetables. What we do is not only giving people hope and telling them that there is no limit and they can live the life to their full potential, and everything is possible, which it is, but it's all about acting while being connected with themselves, because hope is not a plan, right? So, right. And that's what we love helping with, and going deeper to the core, and transforming lives and helping people to have the life of their dreams. Connects me back to that little girl who was, a single parent child, trying to have love and care and whatever. It connects us to who we truly are, and live that life in freedom, because we are free to do what we choose to do.
Yeah, it feels better than having quote unquote success, whatever that might mean, having the stuff, or feeling that happiness, is helping someone else achieve it, right? Isn't that the best feeling? Like giving a gift and seeing the happiness on their face, even though that gift is something that we may want to experience, whether it's when you're a kid, it's a toy. When you're an adult, it could be anything materialistic, or it could be something really connecting with you. And you're talking about actually transforming lives. You're fulfilled seeing people go from where they are to their true potential and living it. And it's like, it's just the best feeling, right? To see that there's other people now vibrating and doing what they're called to do in this. The world is a better place because of you, and also the people that you're coaching, because they're at a higher level now, helping more people out themselves too.
Exactly. They can make a greater difference if they are happy and fulfill themselves. And it's not about stuff and just financial rewards, because as we know, that doesn't give a full sense of fulfillment. We are holistic people. It's, mind, body, and soul. It sort of all needs to be connected in order to be in harmony.
And I know you're connected with this every day, all day, but do you ever disconnect? What do you do? Like, do you take a half a day off or a day off sometimes, either to spend it with family or yourself? What kind of things can we find you doing when you're not consulting?
You will laugh, but my best source of disconnection is dreaming. And I mean like going to sleep and dreaming. I always dream. And the first thing I do when I wake up, I connect what I see in my dream to the reality I'm starting to live during that day. Wow. And that's it's an interesting trick. It's sort of a meditation, whether it's lucid dreaming, meditation, or whatever that is, because those dreams can give us a lot of answers. And that's where I connect with my true self.
Do you dream almost every night, or is it regular?
Every night. And I love dreaming. Wow. I love sleeping, and that's where I actually disconnect and recharge. And by the way, sleeping is very important for the body and regeneration and sanity. Yeah. So highly recommend it.
I understand the importance of sleep, and I still neglect to give it the time it needs. So I haven't I need to, again, go back, listen to that clip, and remind myself how important it is. But I know that dreaming, to my knowledge, is not something that is a choice, right? I mean, I can tell you there's sometimes I have these really weird dreams. It's usually some kind of problem is going on, like a safety concern. I remember the last dream I remember, I was in this weird mansion, and there were a ton of wild animals, like lions, tigers, monkeys, all kind of. My safety was just me, and I had to survive getting out of this mansion. Really random. I don't know how I can connect that to reality, but so you're not choosing, or are you doing something that puts you in a more likelihood to get into that sleep state, or?
Well, there are two things. And if you read the book about the life of your dreams by Bruce Schneider, the founder of energy leadership methodology, you can learn how to do it. So the lucid dreaming, you can actually program yourself prior to the sleep in order to get there. And you can do it in a way that if you let yourself think of some questions, you might get the answers during the night. No drugs, none of the,
Yeah, I was like, do I ask this question? Because I don't want to hear she's going to come out. Something I didn't know about Natalya is let me tell you what she's doing before she goes to bed. All right.
And another thing is, I mean, it's all subconscious. And hence the thing about connecting to yourself. That's why meditations are so popular. I did transcendental meditation training and all sorts. When you really transcend.
Yeah.
And that is subconscious. And in relation to your dream, that's a question to you, how you can relate it to your current reality. If the animals are people or businesses or some unresolved challenges and issues, and hence, thinking about it and connecting it, it's such a thin experience, but you might get the answers.
Yeah.
And there are professionals that can read.
Probably watching too many movies with my daughter or something with the animals in it.
Jungle Book.
Jungle Book. I did watch that recently, so maybe that was it. Couple more before we go. I know you got to get off to another call, and thank you again for carving out the time. This has been amazing, and I'm honored to have you as a friend. Two things. First one is the purpose of the show. Remember what I said? It's to inspire people to be brave and bold in pursuit of their dreams. Talk to our audience right now. What would you tell them to inspire them to be brave and bold in pursuit of their dreams?
I would ask them, what is really the truth behind what's standing between them and their dreams?
Yeah.
What is really standing between them and their dreams?
Mm-hmm.
In most of the cases, the answer I get is themselves.
It's up here, right?
Right. So if you write on the piece of paper what your dream is,
mm-hmm.
you turn around and you write what your fear is. What you want to do is you want to throw away your fear. What happens is you throw away your dream. And the fear is not real. I mean, it is real to you in the moment, but the fear does not exist in the present moment.
Yeah. And it's usually manufactured from either ourselves or things that were put in our head.
Yeah, the past experiences, all that stuff that you think will happen in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you might
literally
as well
write down your dream, write down your fear, and get rid of the fear, and just realize, like,
make your fear your best friend, because fear, the only thing it does, it tells you that you care, and it warns you. It's a survival mechanism. So unless you're running away from the lion, it's only there to warn you of some stuff. So if you meet that fear, call it a gremlin, give it a name, say, well, I know what I'm doing and I can do it. And you can walk with it. He's just an advisor, a sign of wisdom, nothing else.
There's that acronym, false evidence appearing real, right?
That's it. Yeah.
Exactly. It's how perfect is that? Last thing we like to do here, I like to do here, I always tell you to be great and be grateful, right? If you guys have tuned in multiple times, you know that's coming. Give me the top 3 things right now in the moment, so you don't overcalculate on it, but top 3 things you're most grateful for.
I must say, blue sky, and that's not lame, is that it gives me a lot of energy.
That's awesome.
Blue sky. Most grateful for, I'd say, my family, the background I come from. I haven't seen my family in over a year, and if it wouldn't be for them, I wouldn't exist. And my family, I count all the American families that were part of my life journey and made me who I am. I would say for that inner curiosity that keeps driving me places, and all the people within my network, including yourself, a lot of people from EO, Entrepreneurs Organization, that I'm very much grateful for the past years, that made me bold and grateful and curious, and keep on learning and growing. And that's the thing, what I would love to wish everyone is to surround themselves with the people that can walk with you on that journey towards your dream and not put you down, because you can achieve anything you can. You got it within you, and you have, the whole world to support you. That's what you're here for.
What a masterclass of like personal development today, for me to go back and listen to. And I know this too, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but a lot of times when we're just talking about this in conversation, or you're teaching something to someone else, the teacher learns a lot too, right? Because we may know that 2 + 2 is 4, but as we teach it, sometimes we think about it differently. So whatever that math is, or whatever it is you're teaching, if I'm teaching someone how to do podcasting, and it might be something that's routine, when I'm teaching it, I'm like, yeah, I remember that is so important. Like, let's not overlook that, right? It seems so basic. You've said it over and over again. But when you're actually connecting in the message, it feels so good. That's why these interviews always hit me really strong, because there's so many great reminders in the conversation. So any last words you'd like to get out before we wrap up?
Well, you were talking about teachers and students. We are teachers and students at the same time. Hence, the ego does not help the learning process. So we can leave it at the door and learn from every single person that we meet. And on the closing note, if anybody would like to go deeper and want to be the source of, to have the source of that higher energy and have the support that you need, we have a pool of coaches across the world that can support you in that. and many other
Absolutely.
things.
Yeah, lifebydesign-academy.com. All of Natalya's social media links are going to be, if you're watching this on YouTube, it's in the notes. Just check out the description. It's all clickable. Absolutely incredible interview today, Natalya. Thank you so much. I'm going to take a stab at it. Natalya Berdikyan. And I just had to say it again because she coached me for 10 minutes on it before we started, and I couldn't get it quite right. Did I do a little bit better the second time?
You did great. There's no right and wrong, remember?
Yes. That was my interpretation of the proper way to deliver the last name. This is awesome. I can talk to you anytime. You have a friend over here in the States, so give me a shout if you ever need anything here. And guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, Natalya.
Thank you.
I'd like to give a huge shout out to everyone for tuning in, especially those who listen all the way to the end to hear this message. Seriously, I appreciate you, and my guests do as well. Giving a quick reminder to subscribe to this show. It's completely free and will allow you to receive notifications when new episodes are released. If you'd like to provide a tip as a gift, you can do so via patreon.com/micedup. It's spelled MIKED up. Patreon.com/micedup. You can give as little as $1 per month or as much as you'd like. Every dollar is greatly appreciated and completely unexpected. Appreciate your reviews and your messages coming in on social as well. Keep them coming. Your feedback is valuable and absolutely means the world to me. You can check out more episodes and content at mikeduppodcast.com. We're powered by Social Chameleon. You can also follow me on Instagram. That's where I'm the most active, and it's at Mike DiCioccio, MIKEDICIOCCIO. Thank you so much for your continued support. You guys know what to do. Be great and be grateful.